Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon. My talk will not be about how to do online learning in terms of the educational aspect of it. This talk will be a bit more technical of how you can actually use software, ubiquitous software, to help make your teaching and learning more effective, efficient, and hopefully more interesting. Yeah? Okay. Um, Ubiquitous software. By ubiquitous software, I mean a set of software or suite of software that is guaranteed to be available in all computers running Windows. Okay, if you have a computer running Linux, then probably you have to install a virtual box to run Windows, and by then you already would have this ubiquitous software. Yeah? Um, and we can actually use this ubiquitous software or suite of softwares to work together with specialized e-learning applications, and hopefully we can make e-learning activities to be more effective, efficient, and hopefully fun. Yeah? So of course, what I mean by Ubiquitous is the Microsoft Office suite of software, and especially I'll be focusing a lot about Excel, because Excel is like it's actually a gold that has not been discovered. I mean, there are a lot of gold nuggets which has not been discovered, and that is what Excel is, because it has so many functionalities that would definitely make your e-learning experience interesting, and most importantly, highly efficient and effective. Right, I'll be talking about four things, four examples. I'm not going to go exhaustively with all the examples. I'll just look at some of the examples that I'm basically just sharing what I have experienced in my online teaching short experience, because not many of us have actually been involved in online learning, teaching and learning. It's just been about a year or a year and a bit because of COVID. So it is within this time that I think we have learned a lot, and it is very important for us to share what we have learned, because without sharing, without learning from others, we won't be going anywhere. I mean, I've learned a lot when I looked at what Ada is doing. I'll be talking about what Ada has in mind, but in a different way. I've seen how people or lecturers have used Google Classroom, for example, and I've seen many of them rely totally on Google Classroom, which is excellent. And even Spectrum, before this we never really bothered to learn about Spectrum, and suddenly because of COVID, everybody knows about Spectrum. Anyhow, we're not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Excel and Microsoft Suite in general, plus a few other software or apps that we can use together. Right, first of all, it's making assignments more interesting with Excel. We are having problem, at least in chemistry department, we have a problem of getting students to be interested in computational chemistry, or to be interested in anything that has to do with computers. Yeah, I'm not talking about using computers, to do things. I'm talking about computers in chemistry, how chemistry and computers are so tightly linked that we have to know computers in order to do chemistry, some aspect of it. I mean, computers have been traditionally, chemists have been traditionally the group of people who has been using computers most extensively since the 50s. Yeah, where when they start to solve the first X-ray structures, for example. I mean, chemists are the ones who are using these computers, plus those who are doing quantum calculations. I mean, they rely on computers. So chemists and computers really have a long way back. They work together very well. Well, of course, chemistry is not a computing subject, so a lot of people really don't go into that or look into that too much. So chemistry is still viewed as this traditional subject. Anyhow, making assignments more interesting with Excel. This is one of the assignments that I've given to the computational chemistry class. We have about 23 students, and giving the assignments to do in the times of COVID is quite difficult. I mean, what kind of assignments would excite students? So we had the idea of maybe we give them some problems to think about, something that has to do with the tools that they are using, not necessarily chemistry. but the tools that they're using in chemistry. So in computational chemistry, one of the most important tools, not just computational chemistry, chemists will find visualization to be the most important thing, especially nowadays that, you prefer to use a visualization tool like a computer screen or your handphone in order to view the three-dimensional structures of molecules. So we were thinking maybe we can do something about that. Can we actually get students to try to understand how the molecular visualization actually works behind the screen? So, of course, that requires students to know about programming, but students have very little experience in coding, especially chemistry students. Yeah? We are going to, I think, for the new syllabus, new curriculum, we are going to teach chemists how to code. But not until then, chemists don't really know how to code unless they learn it on their own. But almost everyone has Excel, and Excel is highly versatile. It is designed, first of all, to do accounting, but of course, today Excel has gone far beyond that. I mean, Excel is no longer just an accounting software. Yeah. In fact, lately in Excel 365, people are already claiming that Excel is now a full-fledged programming language. Yeah, there's a function called a lambda function, which allows Excel to create its own function, reuse it, even use it in a recursive way. So it's quite interesting. Anyhow, the important thing is this: Excel can make something as complex as 3D graphics. So basically, we're trying to get students to do 3D graphics, which is not chemistry at all, but it is doable. So Excel can make this very complex 3D graphics as simple as a few worksheet cells connected by multiplication and addition. I mean, the knowledge of using formula, for example, formulae in Excel. Plus, Excel has an impressive charting function with sophisticated and very advanced graphics. Okay, we've looked at it, we studied it, and we see that, yeah, you can actually use Excel to do molecular visualization. So what do we have to do in order for students to solve problems related to this molecular visualization? So we have to, first of all, explain to students how 3D transformations work. Because when you see a 3D object rotating in front of on the screen, it is really not a 3D object. It's just an illusion. Yeah. So we explain to students how 3D rotation actually works on a screen. Okay. So we talked about the rotational matrices, x-axis, y-axis, and we want the students to actually do this without doing any programming at all. Behind Excel, there is a programming language. Everything that you do on Excel can be coded. You can actually record the code and repeat it, just like running a program, and that is known as the VBA programming language, Visual Basic Application. So students don't have to use VBA. They have to generate their own 3D molecules, get coordinates of the molecules by drawing them, and then or getting them from smile strings, okay, and convert the structure to XYZ coordinate format using a program called OpenBabel, right? So inadvertently, students are also learning to use new softwares in their work. And then the students have to connect the 3D coordinates in Excel, okay, and then translate the 3D coordinates molecule to the origin, and then start to run the 3D rotation on the X, Y, and Z axis. And of course, Excel is not just about Excel. Excel can be also about presentation. So we want students to create a nice individualized dashboards, yeah, for them to basically show a nice finished product. So to be frank with you, I thought this is going to fail, but students have exceeded my expectation. There is a steep curve in learning Excel and learning the tricks in Excel in order to do 3D graphics. I just showed them those videos and let the students work on their own. Now, each student will have to learn something because they're not doing the same thing. Yeah, they have to learn to actually do this on their own on Excel. They may discuss with each other, but they still have to do it on their own. Yeah. So basically, this is actually an individualized or personalized assessment. Yeah. So I'll give you some example. This is the best Okay. Right. I suppose you'll be surprised that this is Excel, but it is Excel actually, and you can rotate the molecule. Yeah. In the z-axis, y-axis, and x-axis. Okay. Now you can even shift. The student actually do this. She added shifts. Yeah, transformation. Sorry, translation. You can reset it back to its original position. Display or don't display hydrogen. Okay, or even display mode. This is ball and stick. If you're on wireframe, you can change to wireframe. Sticks, you can change to sticks. Okay, and do the same thing. The student added a bit more, some information on the molecule, firefly, luciferin, some information that she got, and then some 2D structures or NMR spectrum, or this is UVV spectrum. The student actually did a bit more than what she's supposed to do. I told the students that they don't have to use VBA. She did VBA, so she learned VBA and did all this. You can't really do what I did just now without having a program to do it. Yeah, so this is actually quite impressive. I only taught them a simple molecule, a diatomic molecule rotated in y-axis. That's it, and they came up with all this. Yeah. So the next example is this one. This is the second best, but really compared to the first one, this is quite far behind. The student didn't do anything. She just used my instructions. Okay, didn't add any VBA or anything like that, but she also managed to do the Z and the X-axis because I only showed them Y-axis. Yeah. So it's quite impressive. Yeah, they have certainly exceeded my expectations in this assignment. Yeah. So as I've mentioned earlier, students are forced to learn something in order to carry out this assignment. Yeah. So I want to show you something. This is actually a survey that I did. There are only 23 students. I wish I had more, in computational chemistry class. So lecturers, please encourage your students to do computational chemistry so that they will have an edge. They will have an edge over other students because I think all the other subjects are quite similar to other universities, but having computational chemistry will definitely give the students edge over the others because they now know how to integrate computers into chemistry. Right. These are the responses of students. So of course, very high percentage of them actually said that this is a very challenging exercise. Yeah, and spend the fullest effort. Yeah, 100%. Most of them, yeah, they spend the fullest effort in carrying out the exercise. Excel, yeah, I was surprised that Excel can be used in visualizing and manipulating molecules. Many of them are quite surprised. Yeah, my knowledge of Excel improved tremendously because this is not beginning Excel. This is jumping straight to the maybe intermediate level, and many of students actually have to learn a lot of new things. And as I've mentioned, it's a very steep curve, yeah, for students to learn. Yeah. So overall, the students enjoyed the assignment very much. Yeah. So we are just using Excel, and this is just an idea that just came up. How are we going to get students to be, hyped up in doing the assignments? Okay. Right. I'm just adding spice to 3D molecular visualization. So with some molecular modeling software like Chimera, for example, you can actually export the 3D printing file, STL file, and you can put it into PowerPoint, and you can, get 3D molecules rotating in PowerPoint. Yeah. For those who don't know yet, for those who know, it's okay. So if you don't know that PowerPoint can rotate, can input 3D structures or 3D objects, and rotate it inside the slides, you can actually do that. Yeah. So this is actually the spike protein of COVID-19. Okay. The next one will be making Excel more chemistry centric. Yeah. What we can do is we can install chem informatics packages for Excel. There are many of these packages, right? Many add-ins that will make your make your Excel more chemistry centric. But you might as well get a good, package. package that is really not for teaching. It is designed for research, serious research. Okay, I'm talking about company that make millions and millions every year, you know, selling the software, and they give the software for free to universities for teaching and learning, and for research, as long as it's university research. And you can use this software and all its functionalities, everything. And if you are really interested in this, you look into the functionalities, you'll be amazed. And we can actually have all these functionalities in Excel and actually use it for teaching. Imagine a world-class research chem informatics package now available for you to use in your teaching. Okay, there are so many things that you can do. I'm just going to show you a few. So the software is actually ChemExon software. It's a suite of software, many different softwares. One of the software is JChem for Office, where in JChem for Office, they included a lot of functionalities in there, a lot of functionalities. Yeah, so it's very useful when we talk about using it in Excel. Okay, so the license is free for teaching purposes and can be requested from ChemExon. Once obtained, the same license can be given to students in your course. Yeah, this is not just for chem informatics, it's also for drawing, drawing reactions and actually using the reactions to do something very impressive. Yeah? Okay, what can we do with it? Now, I'm just talking about JChem in Excel. Yeah. So what can we do as an instructor? What we can do is, for example, we can generate individualized exercise or tests through enumeration of structures based on a template reaction or Markush structure. So the software is actually used for combinatorial chemistry, yeah, to enumerate structures. Some structures that don't exist even, they just enumerate it, especially in drug design. Yeah. So once they have identified a certain structure, a certain molecule which has certain I don't know, base structure or Markush structure, and they just enumerate it, and they will test each one of them to see whether these molecules have activity on certain things, you know. So you can use that functionality to actually generate individualized exercise. So if you have, say, for example, a reaction, say an amide formation, amine plus carboxylic acid. I'm not an organic chemist, so I'm just doing things with the advice of an organic chemist. So amine plus carboxylic acid, you get amides. You can actually get hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of carboxylic acids and amines and react them together based on a particular template, and you will get millions, hundreds of thousands, hundreds of structures. So this can actually be used as a individualized teaching exercise or assessment, you know. So you can give each student individual molecules and maybe talk about retrosynthesis or something like that. Yeah, I don't know, but JChem has that capacity to do something like that. As a student, of course, it can be a resource for organic chemistry, drawing structures, calculation of molecular descriptors, QSAR, QSPR tools, and students can also use the software to enrich reports and documents with reactions, calculations, and live chemical structures. Yeah? Right, example, formation of amides, as mentioned earlier. What we can do is we can actually use a reaction template. You can even write your own reaction and then use that reaction after mapping the atoms. Use that reaction to enumerate more molecules if you want to. Yeah. But in this example, I'll just use a reaction template, which is a reaction of formation of amines, and I search different amines and different carboxylic acids in chemical databases. So students will also have experience in searching for chemical databases and using them in a more effective way. Okay, and do the virtual reaction, do the virtual enumeration. So, sorry, hold on. I think I have, yeah, it's here. Oh, the problem is there. Never mind. What you can have is you have your reaction there, and these are some examples of carboxylic acid, and these are the amines, and you will get all the reactions. You will get all the reactions, you know, just like a multiplication. This react with this, this react with this react with this, and you get all these different structures. And I know instructors would love this. You can use this example to give individualized exercises, for mechanisms and stuff like that. Yeah. So this is the reaction. You can actually do your own reaction, but the software has a few hundred, I think 600 or 700 reactions, I think, template that you can use, okay, to enumerate molecules. So this is basically about virtual enumeration, but you can use it in your teaching if you want to. Okay. Or you can insert objects. Okay, that's very important. You can insert objects in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, where you can then draw it straight away on the screen. Okay. Right. So of course there are a lot of things more that you can do with software like that. So I leave it to you if you want to try it out. Okay. Right. Online examination. This is my experience. Can we make online tests, exams easier to handle, minimize cheating, and hassle-free? There are hundreds of different online teaching platforms. Okay, not hundreds, but maybe a few teens or, but quite a lot. So some of them you have to pay, some of them are free. Of course, we have heard of Google Classroom, which is free, yeah, which is then integrated or can be associated with other Google products. We use Spectrum in UM, okay. Also Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft. UM has a license, Microsoft Education. So different types. Or some students, some lecturers still prefer the old style of giving exam questions, okay, via Word, and then get students to answer in different ways. It's up to them, really. I think each lecturer has the right to choose what they want to use. Okay, we're not going to talk about that. But the point is, in UM itself, there are a few platforms that lecturers can use. Yeah? Okay. So I want to look at cheating online. Well, it is a big problem. I think Professor David have talked about it. Aziza talked about it. Who else? On cheating online. So it is a big problem. So can we really solve it totally? I do not know if we can solve it totally, but we can definitely do something about it. This is what I'm going to show you. One of the known ways is to actually to shuffle the question or shuffle the answers. Yeah, or randomization. Okay. Now, the most important thing, if you want to avoid cheating, I haven't implemented this yet. I was just thinking about it after the exams, and I think I'll implement it in the next coming exam. Okay, what is this about? Now, you can put the questions in Excel. All right. These are the questions in column D. So column E to column H are the answers. All right. And this is the actual answer of the question. And after that, column K contains the answers in terms of A, B, C. Because up here, column E is actually A, column F is B, column G is C, column H is D. Yeah. So you can actually randomize the question and the answer, all right, and format the question in whatever way you want. You can put it in Word, for example, if you are still into putting questions this way, yeah. Or you can put it in Spectrum. Spectrum is able to read Excel files, yeah, and questions that is in the form of Excel, or Google Forms, yeah. You can do this straight away in Google Sheets. It's up to you. The one problem that I find is that if you do it in Excel, all this extra formatting, like for example your superscript, when you transfer it into Google Sheet, it disappears. So you have to redo the whole thing. But if you do it 100% in Google Sheet, the extra formatting remains. Yeah. Okay. So randomization. The thing is this: the randomization can be done as many times as you want. If you have 120 students, you can do it 120 times. Okay. So that means each student will have a set of questions, which are randomized quite extensively. You randomize the question, and then you randomize the answers. And a well-designed question with a well-thought-of timing will ensure that the students will not have time to ask his friend. Even if he asks his friend, he will realize that actually, wait a minute, our questions are different, you know. So they have no time to actually cheat. It is quite difficult. For example, if you have 10 questions, yeah, give them a short time. Of course, you have to think about the real time of the actual time the students need to answer the questions. Yeah, but that's what I mean by well-designed question with well thought of timing. Yeah, and then randomize it as many times as possible, as many times as you want. Okay, so I can show you this. This is the true Excel. So I can just randomize it. In this case, I'm randomizing it once. Once I randomize it, this is a new set of questions. Okay, if you look at the first question, given a particle in a one-dimensional box, right? So I go back and I randomize again. It's a different question, and the answers are all randomized altogether, right? So what you can do is you can randomize this, and you say, I want to randomize it 120 times. So you just click randomization, and Excel will create 120 sheets. Each sheet can be formatted so that you can have the students can have the actual Word file for the exams. Okay, so one way of doing that is that, right? Format it into Word. Yeah. Then send students an Excel sheet that looks like this and ask them to answer. Yeah. So the randomized formatted question sheets, it could be in Word, and the answer sheets, which is in Excel, are emailed automatically to individual students. What you need is you need a list of student emails, and each student, beside the email in the next, what do you call that? You have the email in one column, and then the next column is the link where the files are, the exam question. So you can automate Excel to email each student these links. So each link will be different. Yeah. And when students submit back, there will be some keys that allows you as the instructor to know which student answered which question sheet. And you will have all in Excel. Once you get them, you just straight away grade them based on the individual question sheet. So there will be no problems at all, and things can be done within seconds. Yeah. So that is one way. Or you can submit the questions using Spectrum or Google Forms. Yeah. I've tried with Google Forms. Okay. So Google Form, what you need actually an add-on. Okay. So you get the add-on, which is known as Form Builder. Form Builder itself has a shuffling function. You can shuffle questions, but you don't want to do that because you want the process of, because you have like 120 students or 120 different shuffling, right? You want to know the students' answers one by one. Yeah, so it will be cumbersome to use Google Form to actually do that. Yeah? So, but you can actually enter the questions into Google Form. The problem is this: if your question has if it has figures, then you have to enter these figures manually. That's the problem. So if you have 120 students, you have to enter 120 times. Say you have 3 questions, so 3 times 120 times. So you have to do them manually. Yeah, unless you can write a code to insert them, or maybe there is an add-in to do that. I'm not sure. Yeah, you have to find out about that. But the point is, there are ways, like for example, if that is the case, if Google Form is too difficult, then what you do, you send the Word file. Get the students to answer using the Excel sheet, and then they can submit the Excel sheet into Spectrum or Google for submission. Google Forms for submission. I mean, there are many ways. It's really up to you. You have to think about how to do it best and see if you can solve the problem on that one. Right. So you can do this. This is what I did, but I haven't done the shuffling yet. So what you do is, it's a semi-MCQ. So 10 questions, for example. You get 3 questions which you need to see students working on it. So say, for example, in this case, I have 6 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So question 2 and question 4 are actually questions that students have to do workout. They have to work, show the workings. So those who get 0, okay, you can use conditional formatting. And those who get 0, you can go back and look at their workings. yeah, and see whether they can get extra marks or not. Yeah? This one you have to do manually because you can't really get a machine to look at students' workings. Yeah. So they have to show the working, and this can be conditionally formatted to ease identification if students had the wrong answer, and scripts may be checked. The submission of scripts can be done using Google Forms or Spectrum or email. You can write a small code to collect all the results and put it into one sheet and do the calculation and everything, I mean, automatically. Yeah? So the key point is actually automation here. So a bit of planning and thought on the design of questions, i.e. timing, okay, to make sure that students don't have time to talk to other students. And the questions have been randomized in such a way that it is quite difficult for students to synchronize cheating, yeah, and automation in terms of distribution of the questions and submission and marking and stuff like that, you know, and it can be done. It's not really a problem. It can help reduce or even eliminate error in the administrative process of assessment, minimize cheating, if not, totally, no cheating at all, and as well as marking. And with all these being automated and you don't have to really worry about that, we can focus on being more creative and effective in your online teaching and learning. Yeah. Right. The final part is using the electronic lab notebook. Okay. First of all, chemistry is a practical subject. Lab work cannot be replaced. Students must do lab work. Okay. But unfortunately, with the current situation, we can do what we can do is just to show students how to do the experiments via video, and data are given to them for students to do calculations and get the results. Everything is still theoretical. No lab skills are actually obtained here as far as students are concerned. But the problem is, even under these circumstances, many instructors fail to monitor and give proper feedback to the students. I mean, if you have something like what Ada was doing, that is excellent. I mean, students just cannot cheat. They have to, the instructor is watching over them all the time. Now, this can actually be done. This has been done many, many times and many years before this. Yeah. One of the most important thing in the lab is that you have to have a lab notebook. So companies, big companies, analytical companies, drug companies, they have this a system of electronic lab notebooks, where these electronic lab notebooks are actually are legal documents. These are actually legal documents. Yeah. So they really use their ELNs 100%. Okay. Their work, I mean, their position is determined by how they get access and what other things that they put inside their ELNs. Yeah. So with ELNs, where everything is shared, right? Students who have the tendency to copy each other's lab report, right? They can be avoided. Yeah, as I think other have showed all of us that we can actually check past editing. You know, you can even look at the students' work and whether the students have cheated or not. Plus, with ELNs, where the supervisor or the instructor will have total control of what the students are doing, the students will also be forced to become a bit more creative, and a bit more hardworking, I suppose, because they have to do more work because they are being watched all the time. Yeah. So this is a part of the shared nature of lab notebooks and lab reports as well, under OneNote. Okay, so the instructor has access to whatever the students are doing. Okay, so they will try to complete their report and play a more active role in supervising students' work. The students will try to complete their report, and then lecturers or the instructors will play a more active role in supervising students' work and giving feedback. One of the things that students complain most of the time, is feedback. You give them what they have to do, and you just sit back, and once they've sent the reports, we just give them marks, you know. So this also makes us instructors to be a bit more responsible on that one. Since, oh yeah, Hadi, OneNote is accessible via web, so it's not just about a program. You can access it via web. So the accessibility of OneNote on the web and handheld devices and everything, so accessibility is unrestricted. It's very useful for students. Students can learn from each other, and they will have to put real effort in their work, and students also gain experience in use of ELN. Now ELNs are actually, there are a lot of commercial ELNs which are of course more complete, but the structure of ELN is just like how OneNote is designed. The problem of OneNote is that it is not a chemistry centric notebook. So a chemistry centric notebook which is designed for chemistry, like for example Scilab is another software. You can do a lot of things. You can straight away draw structures and a lot of things, but really you don't have to really draw structures directly into notebook. You can draw it somewhere else using JChem, and then you can copy and paste it as illustrations in the notebook. Yeah. But OneNote has all the functionalities, the general functionalities, as in other ELNs. So OneNote is natural like this. Okay, so Ada showed us how to generate notebooks for the class using class notebook. Yeah. Problem is OneNote lacks some of the chemistry specific features. Yeah, but you can insert Excel. But when you insert Excel with JChem, there's some problems. I've tried it. It's not really smooth. Yeah, I would prefer students to attach, say for example, structures or reactions or whatever as an illustration. Yeah. Plus, another problem with OneNote is that it lacks the way of organizing students' data into database. So you can't really transform ELN created using OneNote into a database. Yeah, I do not know. Maybe Microsoft will be doing something about that. Yeah? And the use of ELN is not just for COVID, times of COVID. It can be extended, and I think students and lecturers should think about using ELNs, not just for undergraduates but also for your postgraduates. Yeah, so that you are at all times monitoring. Just make sure that they use their ELNs to report on whatever work that they're doing, and you can monitor them based on ELN. Yeah? And OneNote is, as I mentioned earlier, is natural on that. There are a lot of literature on the use of Microsoft OneNote as an electronic lab notebook. This is one of them. So if you click, you should get to the web page. Yeah, and yeah, in fact, there are a lot of other papers related to this. Yeah? So the use of Microsoft Office, there are 4 things that I've shown. One is the use of Excel for assignments, and then how to make Excel chemistry centric and open up possibilities that would enhance your online teaching and learning. How do you do automation using Excel and in this case Google in order to ease the administration of your online teaching and learning, and you can focus on materials. Yeah? And finally, electronic lab notebook. Yeah. So thank you. That's a periodic tables way of saying thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.